Hi, you guys. Welcome to Thursday Night Book Club, The Power of One More, chapters 10 and 11. So I'm Elizabeth Heffner, Sapphire Ambassador. I'm here with my friend Megan Brooks, Senior Gold Ambassador, and we're here to bring you these two chapters. So super excited, and Megan's going to start us off.
Hey everybody, so I am talking about chapter 10 in our awesome book. I'm absolutely loving it, The Power of One More by Ed Milet. Chapter 10 talks about one more higher standard. And I don't know about you guys, but this like really spoke to my soul. I felt like he was just like, I felt like that. I was like, okay, Ed. Anyway, it was just like really powerful. I really enjoyed that. Especially how he started out. It was almost like he was like yelling at me, like, I've got a mind-blowing revelation for you. And then I'm going on to read, and it says, if you don't set your own standards, odds are you won't reach your goals. And I was like, whoa, what do you mean? Of course, we're obviously reading on, right? Deciding to achieve your goals by setting your standards and applying action to them. Deciding to achieve your goals by setting your standards and then applying action to those standards. Normally, our process of thinking is like, okay, set your goals first. But Ed's like, no, set your standards first. And everything will basically fall into place from that, right? So goals without standards are useless thoughts and words. And I was like, wow, that's so powerful, because yes, we can all have big goals. We can all have big dreams. We can all have big hopes. But if we don't set the standard for how we're going to reach those goals, they're not going to be achievable because we're not setting ourselves up for that success. You should be constantly reviewing and upgrading your standards. Then he goes on to talk about what are you willing to tolerate? How are you, if you're willing to tolerate something, if you're willing to tolerate less than or not enough of, then that's probably what you're going to get. Let's say in terms of business, if I set myself only the goal of senior silver, or if I set my standards at senior silver, but my goal is diamond, if my standards only at senior silver, that's probably all I'm going to get, right? And I'm not saying this is like negative on anybody that's senior silver, because that is a flipping huge deal. But I'm just saying in terms of like the big picture, set yourself on those high standards, set those goals high, and don't settle for anything less. Don't tolerate anything less. I was like, wow, that really spoke to my soul, because it even in your life, in your job, in your everyday life, in your family, in your values, what we set for our children is what they're going to live up to, or at least that's what we want to model, and we hope that they do. If you don't change your standards, your goals are irrelevant. Make your standards consistent with your self-worth. Standards define your life, and understanding and creating higher standards will lead you to change in order to reach those goals. You want to be aware of your interactions, who you associate yourself with, how you associate yourself with them. They influence your standards, so you should be aware of that. And you want to surround yourself with people of the same that are people that are like-minded, just like you, have similar standards to you, right? Activating change, like putting that action to your goals or your standards, is applying what you think is valuable, creating your own unique standards. So yes, we have our team standards, right? But this is our journey. Nobody's on this. Yes, we're all in this together, but nobody is going to do this for us. So if we don't set those high standards for ourselves, we're not going to reach those goals. Set those high standards, reach those goals, because all of our standards and our goals are unique to us. I really, really loved what he was talking about. The 9, what did he say? The 9 ways, sorry, 9 ways to set a standard. I love these, love these. Number 1, you guys, this is like, hello, understand your why. We're always talking about this. Make your why as big as you can, and then go for it. Narrow it down. What is your why? Why are you doing this? Why are we here? Be specific, break it down, make it detailed and achievable. Like he's talking about, I'm going to get up and run a little bit. I'm going to lift a few weights. But then you set the standard of you want to lose 50 pounds, but you're only going to run a little bit. It's not achievable. It's not attainable. Make it achievable. How are you going to, step by step, how are you going to do that? Break it down. Be honest with yourself. Be transparent with yourself. Be realistic with yourself. Don't set these super high, crazy standards like he's talking about. If you're at, 55 years old and you weigh, up teen, whatever he says, can't remember the number. And then he says, you're setting yourself up for failure. You're setting yourself up for an ambulance ride. We don't want that. We want to be successful. So set yourself realistic goals. Set yourself up those steps to achieve those goals. And then he goes on to talk about using technology and creating videos. And just like we talk about affirmations, saying things out loud to ourselves, writing it down, taking a video on our super positive days to listen to those on our not so positive days. Hype yourself up, even when you're not feeling super hyped up. Give dedicated thought to the relationship between your standards and your goals, because those lower standards will produce lower results. We don't want low results. We want high results. Forget perfection. Perfection is boring. I love that. You do not have to be perfect in this business. You do not have to be perfect in your life. But you have to set those standards for yourself because it's important if you want to achieve those goals. Don't overthink it. Be diligent, be thorough. Set yourself those goals, obviously. And you also, last but not least, set your standards to please yourself. Okay. I love this little quote where he said, set higher standards for your own performance than anyone around you. And it won't matter whether you have a tough boss or an easy one. It won't matter whether the competition is pushing you hard, because you will be competing with yourself. We are all on our own journeys. You're not competing with anybody else. Don't compare yourself to anybody else, because you are your own. This is your own journey. Make it personal and only compete with yourself. If you're not happy with where you were last month, last year, even yesterday, we have the choice to change it. We have the choice to set those standards of what we will and will not tolerate to move ourselves forward. Super, super love this chapter. Spoke to my soul. And also it says at the end, even if you don't fully succeed, you still fail at a higher level. And this was like, boom in my face, fail forward. It's what we do all the time, you guys, right? In this business, in our lives, even if we're failing forward. We're learning, we're getting up, we're setting those standards to achieve our goals. Elizabeth, chapter 11.
All right. Oh, I did that. That's cool. Okay. So we have chapter 11. That was so good, Megan. Thank you so much. And I've really, really been thinking about higher standards even before reading that chapter, just having the higher standard, like talking about that a lot with my kids, even like, well, everybody at school does or whatever, but you're not every kid, and really when he talks about if you're allowing it to happen, then that's setting that standard too. And that's so important in so many areas of our life, and when we're looking at those things in our normal day-to-day life, it also then is going to flow over and power into our business. So it's super important. But anyway, now we get to talk about the action too, and being that impossibility thinker, but putting the action in. And I think that, some personalities do this more. And sometimes I think when we think like about a big business goal, that we spend so much time thinking about it, that then we think that we've done something and we haven't put those action steps behind it. And it definitely is a balance, because we want to dream big and we want to be thinking of those big things, but then we have to have our action coming up behind that. And so we don't want you to not dream. We don't want to not be a big achiever thinker, but we also then have to consciously think, okay, what are my action steps to get there? And that's just so important. And then you have people like me who are like, well, I'm just going to keep doing and I'm going to keep going and I can just do, like, I'm really good at doing, but then I'm not always dreaming, right? And then that loses sight of the why of why I'm doing. And so there definitely has to be that balance. I love that, it's that one more thing, like, okay, you know what, before I go to bed, I can send one more message because I really want the boots this month, because I really want to help people on my team get the boots. So I could talk to them tomorrow, or I could send a quick message right now before I go to bed, right? I can brush my teeth and send a message. I can, do that. I can do that quickly. So, and then I like how you had that, comparison to the silent movie, like, and we say this in our business when people are saying, well, I want to, be diamond in the next year, but then they're not in the IPA chat, or they're not posting, or we ask how many people they're reaching out and it's not happening. Well, we have to look at where people's feet are, not just their mouth. And so the silent movie was a great comparison of that. And I think when we even, like, I do this a lot, I picture my own life from, like, I don't know, a thought bubble perspective or whatever. Like, I think of what it looks like on my life. What does an outsider see? What could they see? And not in a comparison way, but just to see, like, okay, am I doing the things that I say I'm going to do? And I like so many great comparisons there. Like, hey, I want to, drop 10 pounds, but I'm eating cookies and I don't go to the gym or move my body or whatever. Like, you can't say this is my goal and this is what I'm dreaming about and not have actionable steps behind that. And then this actually was super funny where he said, I underlined it, I can't tell if you're thinking about going on a diet to lose 40 pounds, but I can tell what your body will look like based on how you eat and work out. Do you gorge late at night on cookies and ice cream, or do you hit the gym and go for a run? I'm like, both. As I literally was shoving a cookie in my mouth while I was reading that, I'm like, well, I go to the gym, but I'm eating a cookie. So balance, right? So that I thought was pretty funny, but you get the idea. Watch the feet, watch what people are saying. And I think this is important too when we're helping people with their health goals. Like, there is a balance of saying, you know what, it's okay to enjoy your weekend and have an appetizer and a cocktail, but it's also, and be patient with your body and be patient with your progress. Like, progress is like this, it isn't this. And that's important in our business. It's important with our children. It's important with our own health goals. It's important to help our people feel that they're normal because they want to go out and have a special dinner on the weekend. Like, that's okay. We can't just eat salads and hard-boiled eggs. Like, that's not a way to live, and that's not healthy. We do need a variety of food. So anyway, just really reminding ourselves, reminding our people that progress is something that happens over time, and to help people feel like normal, okay with that. But also, if we see that they're not eating well, especially people we see day to day, and not in a judgmental way, but hey, you expressed to me that you wanted to try and lose weight. I'd love to go for a walk with you at lunch. I'd love to go for a walk with you out to our cars. Like, let's park really far away so we have further to walk, like offering support and stuff, but not, so you're encouraging and offering support, but not allowing them to keep making excuses for themselves either, and then that goes with our business too. Well, I really want to, get the boots. I really want to do this. I really want to rank up. I really want to get a new joint. Okay, tell me about your IPA. And they're like, well, I keep forgetting to follow up with people. I keep forgetting to write things down. Well, there's the disconnect. So when we can help people be accountable to themselves, it's going to move forward. Making things a win-win, like he was talking about, like the sales, being a salesman. Well, I think when we are helping our people get signed up, it totally needs to be about them. The bottom line is that, am I helping them reach their goals? Am I helping them learn to share? Am I helping them learn to post? It really has nothing to do with me, but my job is to be a good servant leader in that. And to, I think that there are always times where we can like push someone to sign up a little bit, but in the end, that's never a good outcome. You know, they either quit or they're not fully bought in or whatever the case may be. But when we're helping them see, and that's why stuff like when cost of our products comes up, I don't try to sell them on why our products are so amazing. I just relate things back to them and their health goals, you know, and I'll share snippets and things I've learned along the way, but it just depends on the person exactly what I say, because it has to be about them. And then again, just reviewing our goals to raise our standards and not comparing, except to compare ourselves. So I am really good at beating myself up for not doing enough, for not, reading enough pages, for not reaching out to enough people, whatever, for not doing the laundry how I meant to, or whatever. Like I'll beat myself up. And I even posted about this yesterday. I was so tired. I think because I started going back to the gym early in the morning this week. And I was tired yesterday. And you know what? I like sat on the couch and napped with the kids for a couple of hours. It wasn't just like a 20-minute nap. But then I got up and I had 3 or 4 coaching calls yesterday, did 2 loads of laundry, made dinner, like did all these things. And so when I look back at like what I actually accomplished during the day, it still was quite a bit, and I rested. And then today I wasn't exhausted and I had like a full force day, you know? So I can compare myself to myself and say, okay, today let's try to do one more X, Y, and Z, but not comparing to all around us. I think that's just so important. And then of course he talks about, you know, it's pretty funny because I didn't agree with his, well, babies have this dream to walk because they see everybody around them walking. I'm like, no, babies go through typical development because that's how God made us, is to want to progress in our development. But whatever, I get what you're saying over here. But the idea is good, like not worrying about every bump and fall and all of that, but just keep going. Like it's okay to have that up and down on our way to our goals. Yes, the PT brain, especially the pediatric PT brain. I was like kind of irritated at his statement there, but I backed off and appreciated the idea. So anyway, you guys have things that you want to say? Oh, my question is, what is it that you're going to change in your action steps after these chapters?
So chapter 10 really spoke to me as well. Just something I'm going to change to answer your question first is the setting my standards higher and duplicating those standards down so we have a stronger team. And I actually reached out to a couple of people today already saying, you know, there's a quote in there that says, one of the basketball coaches says, we don't practice this until we get it right. We practice this until we can't get it wrong. So I'm like, how can we coach that in retention? How can we coach that in duplication? How can we coach that down into, you know, with leadership? And so that way our standards are high and we're not really asking for perfection, but we're raising those standards so we build a strong team under us. So that really spoke to me, as well as setting those standards for how people treat you, like in that relationship mode, because sometimes I haven't always been very good at that. It came later in life where I set the standard on how I want to be treated as a person. And sometimes people don't like that. You know, they want to treat me poorly or disrespectfully, and I don't put up with that. And they get upset or offended by that. And then I'm just like, well, then don't talk to me. Like, you know, like if you can't treat me kindly, then you don't need to be in my space, you know? So that is something that, yes, boundaries. So that's something that's very important too, is setting those standards, setting those boundaries in your relationships as well.
I love that. I really appreciate that, Rochelle. Thank you. let's practice this until we can't get it wrong. Like as a way of as a high standard, not as a perfection, right? Like not like, I mean, this is blank because I'm afraid I'm going to screw it up and it won't be perfect. And so instead I don't do anything. And that's where he says like perfection is cheap, right? Perfection is cheap. And that's the thing is I'm too afraid to decorate my wall and put a hole with a nail in the wrong place and have something look stupid or off and then patch. How do you patch and paint and all this stuff? I mean, if you do that, you got to paint the whole wall, right? Like I don't paint, you guys. I just don't. And so, but that's dumb because it could be fixable. I know, here's Jackie, I'm sending you command strips. Exactly. Well, send me something to hang with them too, because I don't have anything except my diploma and high school medals. That's dumb. So, and I wouldn't mind my diploma, except it has my whole like name on there and stuff. And it just feels weird to have that information like on a Zoom or something, you know, like do people really need to know that much? I don't know. So on YouTube. So anywho, just that is really, really good as like a standard, not as a perfection goal, right? But as a standard.
Yes, I really like that too. And that was kind of what I was thinking. I really like the part in the standard chapter about, how you can tolerate things. It says, can you tolerate the amount of money you're currently making? Can you tolerate the amount of bliss or passion you experience? I mean, it made me think of our businesses. Like, can you tolerate how you're feeling? Can you tolerate the energy you have? Can you tolerate, how much money you have? In your relationships and all of those things, because if you don't move past the point of discomfort, like you use that to fuel you forward and then create these goals and these dreams and use that to kind of push you forward. So as I'm reflecting on your question, like using some of that to help people look at their goals and what they want to accomplish, like, okay, maybe you're struggling to remember to get things in consistently. Like, are you okay with not feeling great? Like, of course, you help them problem solve and things too. But sometimes I think when you see the bigger picture, that it's easier to be like, oh, you're right. I'm not okay with this. Like, I need to do something different. Like, my husband's, since the beginning of the year, been going through some very big like nutrition changes and routine changes because he found he just can't tolerate like not feeling great, just can't tolerate where he's at. And it's been a really big momentum and helped push him forward. And so just casting that to our vision, to our people on our team and our potentials, I think will make a big difference too.
I typed this, but I just had to say it. Like, this is Melissa, because I'm like, ooh, what do I need to do more of? How do I need to raise my standard? What's my next action step? And she's like, I can help people see that they don't have to tolerate feeling crappy. Like always thinking of other people, Melissa. And yes, your husband's meal prepping is super impressive. I'm like, go Brian, that's amazing. That is a lot of work, a lot to think about too. So
Yes, he's for sure a keeper. He can keep meal prepping and doing all the cooking all the time.
that's awesome. Now you just got to get Barry eating it all.
Yeah, that's a whole nother ordeal.
Y'all are quiet today. Come on. It's only 9:25. Are you guys tired too? Did we all forget to drink our active at 4:00?
I'll share something again really quick. I liked in the 8 or the 9 steps, when he's just talking about don't compare, set the standards for yourself, don't compare yourself. And I kind of sometimes get stuck in that. It's hard to do when, of course, we're all excited about our whole team, the momentum of our team. It's super exciting. It's encouraging, but it's sometimes, being transparent here, sometimes you're like, oh man, I reached out so many times and nobody's following up or nobody's messaging me back. I know they saw my message. And so it's really, this was a really good reminder. Like, don't compare yourself to other people. You are on your own journey. You set your own standards. And so I really like that reminder of like, don't compare yourself to anybody. Like, this is your journey. You're at your own pace. And that's a good reminder for me to tell my team as well. Like, we are doing this together. Don't compare yourself. Don't compare your journey. We're setting our own, we're doing this on our own pace, which is, it's good.
That is really, really, really good. Really true. I did those coaching calls yesterday, and one of my girls said, well, I just don't know if I have the personality for this. And I'm like, well, that's a lie. And that's getting stuck in a comparison trap. And I said, we all have different gifts. And I started talking to her about different people on our team. Like, this person's better at this. Like, I always tell everyone, Jackie's the organizer, not me. Like, I can do some of that, but it makes me very brain tired, and I said, this is a thing, we're different therapists too. We're very different as therapists. She's a therapist too, but we're both successful as therapists. And this is no different. We all have slightly different approaches as therapists, as moms, as wives, and we're all successful in those areas too. So definitely coming into our strengths, like we just talked about last book club, and still working in our weaknesses. I mean, there's things that you can't just skip. You can't not do. I can't not organize things because I don't like to. There are certain things I still have to be organized in my business, in my personal life. I mean, I'm not terrible. It's just not my strong suit. Right. So, but staying organized so that I can be productive and efficient and not have to think about those things, so we can't use our weaknesses as excuses, of course, but definitely, building our belief in ourselves, that mindset piece. This book is great for that. Listening to Diamond Docs, they're 8 minutes long. I used to listen to Diamond Docs for 2 reasons. One, it's encouraging to see that people are normal people and they're successful in their diamonds. And that was something that Tracy Adkins was like really surprised about, at Super Saturday, like, oh, Elizabeth keeps saying that everyone can be a jewel or a diamond, but I guess it's really true because, there were diamonds up there making mistakes and, messing up the technology or whatever. And we really all are just normal people, you guys. So the Diamond Docs are super important for that. And then it's really, really great when we are like, okay, this person is a hairdresser, or this person's a nurse, or this person became a single mom suddenly. Like, having those stories in our head so that we know to go find it again and send it to the people in our lives that could relate to that is so important. And they're 8 minutes and they're so encouraging. Like, even like 3 mornings a week while you're getting ready to listen to a Diamond Doc is going to help you with your mindset and your belief and remembering those things. It's not something you have to spend all day listening to a bunch of Diamond Docs. So, but they're quick. And a lot of videos, Diamond Docs are cool to watch because you can see the interactions, but a lot of it you don't have to watch, you can glance at it and stuff, but keep that in mind. So.
Well, I shared in a post today that quote that they're saying belongs to Gandhi. And it was on a call the other day that I'd listened to that Robin Sullivan had done for Christina and Brittany's team, where it talks about your beliefs become your thoughts become your words become your actions become your habits become your values, and your values become your destiny. And over on the other page, it says, for what you do is a reflection of how you're thinking. I mean, that's kind of the basis, right? If you are thinking in negative terms, if you are thinking in comparison thoughts, if you are thinking in failure mindset, and the whole call was about mindset, and this whole book is about mindset. But if your thoughts always denote negative, your brain will continue in that pattern. I have always considered myself an avid reader. I did not read a whole lot when I had 3 littles in the house. I mean, I did read a lot, but it was like Curious George and Clifford. And then as my kids got into chapter books, they would read to me a lot, right? So I got read to a lot, but I wasn't doing, besides my Bible reading, a lot of personal growth reading. And I've looked, and over the last 5 years, I think I've read a little over 70 something books that are mostly about personal growth and our mindset. And some that are spiritual based with ladies Bible study and stuff like that. But the core to it all is that what you're thinking is your reality. What you are thinking about the most is the truth that you are living out. And so I'll be very honest, I've physically really been struggling for the last year, just with my body not cooperating with me. And just in the last few weeks, I've just had to turn my mind around to be like, you are capable of not sleeping all day. You are, like telling myself so that I can tell my brain to tell my body to just behave long enough to get the ABC done. And even if I only get the A done, the BC get moved to the next day, kind of like Elizabeth resting yesterday. I've had a lot more rest in the last several months than I felt like I wanted, but obviously my body needs what it needs. And so it was just a great reminder that it starts with our thoughts. Your activity starts with your thoughts. I loved both the chapters, but I think I loved chapter 10 more. But yeah, it was just great. Thank you, ladies.
So good, Nicole. And kind of to feed off of that, like when we are, I just love this team because when we are feeling down or feeling weak, we have everybody to hype us up. Like get on a coaching call your upline, call your sideline, call your downline, and just have that support. Surround yourself with like-minded people and get help when you're not feeling as confident or as positive, whatever the case. And that's what's really cool about this team is even if it has nothing to do with your Plexus business, we still can rely on each other. And I think that's just so fantastic.
Absolutely. And my takeaway from you saying that too, Megan, if you're not on like coaching calls with your upline on at least somewhat of a regular basis, you really need to be, because I feel like sometimes we feel like we're just out here doing our IPA and we're all alone, and we check in with the group and we see people doing their stuff on Facebook, but every time I talk to one of my leaders, it's like, oh, okay. Like you can realize that anything you're going through, it's okay. It's okay to have a down day. It's okay to feel discouraged if people aren't talking back. It's okay that whatever, but it's not okay to stay there. And when we talk and we get going, then we can have that next step and that next thing to work on and look forward to and work through. Like we can work through it. Okay, well, did you try this? Like we can talk through it. And that goes too with like parenting. Like, hello, I'm on the call with Megan and the kids are doing stuff. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, why? Like, why are you sorry? They're being kids. They're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They're figuring out the world just like we are still figuring out parts of the world, right? Parts of how to communicate and talk and things like that. It's fine. Like I've been there. Why don't you send some help for teenage help over here, and so it's okay. And I think it's just really helpful too. Like even Megan said, we've done calls at not great times. Like it's like driving home from school time for me. And I'm like, okay, you guys, I have to get on this call. And then I'm like, would you stop? Like, but then even that though helps the newer person or Megan's person go, okay, well, she's just a normal mom then, like this, oh, she's a sapphire. No, my house has messy parts. I'm still parenting my children, it's okay. So just keeping that in mind too, like definitely be in communication with your upline and on the phone or Zoom or something, but definitely something even more than just messages. Messages back and forth are an okay thing to do. Definitely good, but definitely getting on the phone too. Yeah, Rochelle, you need to come and be like super nanny for me, but it's like super nanny teenage edition. Can we have that? All right. You guys have anything else? All right.